Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a fascinating look at the Millard Fillmore Presidential $1 coin, connected to the presidency of Millard Fillmore from 1850 to 1853. If you enjoy discovering unusual coins, presidential history, rare varieties, minting details and coins that collectors search for, you're definitely in the right place. In today's video, we'll explore the history of Millard Fillmore, the design and background of the presidential $1 coin issued in his honor, important details collectors should examine, possible mint errors and varieties, condition and grading, and what factors can make a coin significantly more valuable. And if you love coin collecting and rare money discoveries, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our coin discovery. Let's get started. The Millard Fillmore Presidential $1 coin, a coin connected to the 13th President of the United States and to the years 1850-1853, which are printed on the coin to identify Fillmore's presidential term. One important detail before we begin is that the coin itself is not an 1850-1853 coin. The Millard Fillmore Presidential $1 was actually issued in 2010 as part of the U.S. Mint's Presidential $1 coin program. The 1850-1853 dates on the obverse refer to the years Millard Fillmore served as president, while the actual coinage date appears on the edge as 2010. The U.S. Mint confirms that the Fillmore dollar was the 2010 coin honoring the 13th president, and that it was released beginning February 18, 2010. So if you have one of these coins in your collection, do not assume that seeing 1850-1853 means the coin was struck during the 19th century. That distinction is extremely important for collectors and viewers who are trying to identify their coin correctly. And today we are going to examine its history, design, edge lettering, mint marks, varieties, condition, rarity and realistic collectible value, while also discussing why certain examples can become much more interesting than an ordinary circulated dollar. Millard Fillmore himself has a fascinating American history that makes this presidential dollar especially interesting. Fillmore was born on January 7, 1800, in what is now Summerhill, New York, and came from a modest background before becoming a lawyer and entering politics. He served in the New York State Assembly and later in the U.S. House of Representatives, before becoming vice president under Zachary Taylor. After President Taylor died in July 1850, Fillmore became the 13th president of the United States and served until 1853. His presidency took place during a particularly complicated period in American history, and the U.S. Mint's official information about the coin even highlights several important developments from his administration, including the authorization of the 3-cent coin in 1851 and legislation connected with the San Francisco Mint during the California Gold Rush era. These historical connections give the coin much more than simple monetary significance. When collectors hold a Millard Fillmore presidential dollar, they are holding a modern coin that deliberately connects the present with an important period of 19th century American history. Now let us examine the design because there are several details that collectors should know. The obverse, or head side, features a portrait of Millard Fillmore designed and sculpted by United States Mint sculptor-engraver Don Everhart. Around the portrait are the inscriptions Millard Fillmore, in God We Trust, 13th President, and 1850-1853. The reverse carries the common presidential dollar design featuring the Statue of Liberty, along with United States of America and the denomination $1. The coin has a manganese brass composition, weighs approximately 8.07 grams, and measures about 26.5 millimeters in diameter, according to NGC's catalog information. One of the most distinctive characteristics is its edge lettering. Unlike many traditional U.S. coins where the date and mint mark appear on the obverse or reverse, presidential dollars place important information on the edge. On the Millard Fillmore dollar, the edge can include 2010, EPLURBUSUNUM, and the mint mark. This unusual edge design is one of the first things collectors should inspect carefully. The edge is also where some of the most interesting collecting possibilities appear. The U.S. Mint explains that the presidential dollar program used edge-encused inscriptions, including the year, EPLURBUSUNUM, and the mint mark. Because the edge lettering was applied separately from the main strike, collectors have encountered different edge lettering positions and errors. PCGS documents Millard Fillmore dollars with position A and position B edge lettering orientations, depending on how the lettering appears when the portrait is facing upward. More importantly, specialized error varieties can be significantly more collectible than normal examples. PCGS lists examples involving unusual edge lettering, including doubled edge lettering and inverted lettering combinations. This is why anyone searching through a collection should carefully rotate the coin and inspect the entire edge rather than looking only at Millard Fillmore's portrait. A normal 2010p or 2010d coin may have modest collector value, but an authenticated and desirable error can attract much more attention. Another important point is the mint mark. Regular circulation examples were produced at Philadelphia and Denver, identified by P and D mint marks on the edge. There were also San Francisco-produced collector and proof issues. NGC, for example, catalogs the 2010s Millard Fillmore Presidential dollar in proof format and records a mintage of 2,224,613 pieces. NGC also records special 2010p and 2010d issues with much smaller mintages in its catalog, illustrating why the exact finish and production type matter when determining value. Therefore, simply saying I have a Millard Fillmore dollar is not enough to determine its worth. A serious valuation requires knowing whether the coin is Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, whether it is a regular circulation strike proof or special collector issue, what condition it is in, and whether it has a recognized variety or mint error. Now let us talk about the question that attracts the most attention. Could a Millard Fillmore Presidential $1 coin really be worth millions of dollars? The honest answer is that ordinary examples are not worth millions. Be very careful with online videos, advertisements, or social media posts claiming that every 1850-1853 Millard Fillmore dollar is worth hundreds of thousands or millions. Current numismatic references show much more modest values for ordinary examples. For example, NGC's listed guide data for the 2010s proof issue shows values ranging from only a few dollars into the tens of dollars depending on grade, with its displayed PF values reaching about $30 at the highest grades shown in that table. NGC's auction data for the 2010s proof issue also reports an all-time average price of $44.81 across the auction records it tracks. These figures demonstrate why it is important to separate genuine numismatic information from sensational claims. A common coin in ordinary circulated condition is generally close to face value, while special high-grade examples, varieties, and authenticated errors can command premiums. Condition or grade is another major factor that can change the desirability of a Millard Fillmore dollar. A heavily circulated example may show scratches, marks, discoloration, edge damage, and loss of original surface quality. Such a coin is usually much less desirable than an attractive uncirculated specimen with strong luster and minimal contact marks. Collectors also pay close attention to the quality of the portrait, the sharpness of the lettering, the Statue of Liberty design, and especially the condition of the edge lettering. Certified examples graded by professional services can be easier for buyers to evaluate because the grade and authenticity have been independently examined. NGC's census information shows that large numbers of Millard Fillmore dollars have been submitted for certification in some categories, which also reminds us that merely being certified does not automatically make a coin rare. The combination of scarcity, grade, eye appeal, variety, and demand is what determines whether a particular specimen deserves a significant premium. If you discover a Millard Fillmore dollar that appears unusual, do not clean it, polish it, scratch the edge, or attempt to modify it to make an error more visible. Cleaning can permanently damage a coin's collectible surfaces and can reduce its desirability. Instead, handle the coin carefully by its edges and examine it under good lighting with a magnifying glass or loupe. Check the portrait and inscriptions on the obverse, inspect the Statue of Liberty reverse, and then slowly examine the entire edge for the date, mint mark, EPLURBUSUNUM, missing or doubled lettering, unusual spacing, or other abnormalities. Compare the coin with reliable references from the U.S. Mint and professional grading organizations. The U.S. Mint confirms the fundamental design and specifications, while professional resources such as PCGS and NGC document recognized varieties, grading information, populations, and auction records. This method is far safer and more reliable than believing a random internet valuation based only on the dates printed on the front. One particularly interesting aspect of the Millard Fillmore dollar is that it belongs to a larger historical program rather than being an isolated commemorative issue. The Presidential $1 coin program began in 2007 and honored presidents in the order they served, with 4 presidential designs generally issued each year during the program's circulating coin period. The U.S. Mint states that the program eventually stopped producing presidential dollars for circulation after the Treasury directed the Mint, in December 2011, to suspend minting and issuing them for that purpose. although existing inventory continued to meet demand. Millard Fillmore was therefore part of an important period in modern U.S. coinage, when presidential portraits and edge lettering were introduced to everyday American money on a large scale. The Fillmore coin was officially released in February 2010, and the mint even held a launch ceremony in Moravia, New York, connecting the coin to Fillmore's home state and historical legacy. That story adds an interesting collecting dimension that goes beyond the coin's $1 face value. So, if you have a Millard Fillmore Presidential $1 coin marked 1850-1853, remember the key facts. Those dates identify Fillmore's presidential term, while the coin itself is a 2010 presidential dollar. Look for the 2010 date and mint mark on the edge, identify whether you have a P, D, or S issue, examine the finish and condition, and carefully inspect the edge lettering for recognized errors or varieties. Ordinary examples generally do not have million-dollar values, but unusual and authenticated varieties can be much more interesting to collectors than standard circulated pieces. And that is the real treasure hunt. Not assuming every old-looking date means a fortune, but learning how to distinguish an ordinary coin from a genuinely scarce or unusual specimen. If you enjoyed this detailed look at the Millard Fillmore Presidential Dollar, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with other coin collectors. Keep checking your old dollar coins, because sometimes the most interesting discovery is not a million-dollar fantasy, but a genuine variety, error, high-grade specimen, or piece of American history hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching.